joining.
Okay, perfect. So I'm recording this conference and
Okay. Okay.
you can.
Sure.
So I'm going to, for this session, I'm going to mute everybody, and when we meet, then we will unmute them.
Mhm.
So I'm going to mute them on entry also, so new participants will be muted. And for the duration of the song, we will just be all on mute. And that puts Avantika also on mute, or no? No, Avantika, you're not.
No.
Yes.
So yeah, but I'm going to put everybody on mute here, and then I'm going to unmute Avantika. So Avantika, can you say something?
Hare Krishna.
Okay, good. So we are good here. So you can get going, and yeah, we're recording.
Okay. So we'll be starting off with Narshinga prayers just for the protection of everyone and all the devotees. Namaste Narshingaya.
बहुत सुंदर अवंतिका, बहुत बहुत थैंक यू सो मच, इतना मीठा और इतना सुंदर कीर्तन करने के लिए। थैंक यू सो मच, ब्लेस यू, गॉड ब्लेस यू, एंड बेटा भारत यू टू, थैंक यू फॉर लवली accompaniment.
Thank you, Avantika and Bharat. Thank you so much. So you have a class to go to now, is it? Today?
Yeah.
Yeah, busy. Yeah. Good.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
All
Hare
right.
Krishna.
Hare Krams. So, yeah. So, so all of you are muted right now, but you have the facility to unmute yourself in case you want to speak something. So, Viduji, I'll wait for your green signal before I go.
हाँ करिए,
Did I get set?
बिल्कुल.
All right. Okay. So I'll start with prayers to my spiritual master, and then we will get going. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. If Viduji, you can confirm that you're able to see it.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Om Ajnanatimarandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padkamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So I'm going to quickly unmute all of you and welcome to today's session. And if you can all give me a Hari Bol here. So you're all unmuted. Can you say Hari Bol? I'm looking for more Hari Bols.
ये आप
All
विनय
right.
सिन्हा जी को म्यूट कर दीजिए, वहां से आवाज आ रही है.
हाँ, मैं भी सबको कर दूंगी, सबको म्यूट कर दूंगी. And I really like where Bimla Sharma ji is sitting. And I'm so happy to see all of you, and especially to see Sharda Auntie back into the meetings. I'm so happy to see you there, as well as all the other devotees.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to mute all of you here, but at any point in time, if you have got a question or if you want to add a comment, you can raise your hand or you can just unmute yourself and you can speak like that, right? If you're not speaking, then just make sure that you keep your phone on the mute, because we are recording this call and we'll be publishing it on Facebook like that, okay? So without much ado, I will get going into our PowerPoint that we have been using. And so my first question is that what have we been talking about for the last 2 sessions that we came here? Does anybody remember? You have to unmute yourself and then answer the question. Anything that comes to your mind on what we have been talking?
About mothers on Mother's Day.
We talked about mothers on Mother's Day. That's very good. And actually, you know, who is the Supreme Mother?
Radha.
There you go. Radha Krishna, they are the Supreme. Yeah, thank you.
We spoke about the life goals last time.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you should listen to the gods, about God and all.
Okay, very good.
And about making new habits and things like that.
Very good, very good. So you have been doing that?
I'm trying.
Yeah. That's good.
Not working yet.
Yeah, it'll work. It'll work. Actually, it works, and we do not know that it's working. And in this regard, my spiritual master, Vaisheshika Das Prabhu, he tells a very nice story from his life. So every year in the month of August, we go to San Francisco, and we have a Jagannath Yath Yatra there in one of the parks close to the Golden Gate Bridge. And I find it very convenient because the weather is very good. It's very cold in the evening and cold in the morning, but during the day it becomes hot. So we take layers of clothes and we put sunscreen on some time of the day and like that. And we are there the whole day. And the good thing is that everybody gets to pull the cart in good weather. Something which we might not be able to do in India, right? If you go in July, it's very hot there in Puri. So we get to do that. So we also distribute books. We are very big on book distribution, Prabhupada's literatures. And so one day the weather was predicted that it's going to be cloudy and that it might even rain during the yatra. So we all went there, and so did he. And so he didn't put on his hat, to cover him, didn't bother to put any sunscreen. He was like, the sun is not there today. And then the day passed, nothing happened. But then when he woke up the next day, he had sunburn on his skin. And he said that, and he always equates that to, although he did not see the sun, but the sun was there. And the sun was acting on him. So that's why he got so similarly, when you are doing, even if you take a very small step towards devotional service, there is a change. There is a change. And the biggest change that happens is that we are all sleeping in Maya, enjoying this world, not thinking about God till something comes and shakes us up. And then we wake up. Like sometimes people say, I got my wake-up call. I was not thinking about God, but I got my wake-up call. So we wake up. So we are really asleep in Maya, and we wake up by some sound vibration. Somebody makes that sound vibration, and we then wake up like that, right? When a person is asleep, then if you call out the name, they wake up. Like similarly, if somebody chants the holy names of the Lord, or you listen to some lecture on Krishna, then we wake up. But that's the real awakening that happens. And so when we do even a small step in Krishna consciousness, towards Krishna consciousness, although we might not become immediately a yogi and not get any mystic powers, but the effect is still there. It is still happening. And we call that as imperceptible. You cannot perceive it immediately, but over a long period of time, you will see it. And I guarantee that this corona and this shelter in place and these rigorous Zoom classes that you're attending every day, right, Vidhu Mataji? They do it every day. You might not feel it. You might not feel a change. But at the end of the 4 months, I hope so, you will feel. When you go back to work or go back to your regular routine in life, you will see a difference there. There will be a difference. And so, you are doing it, but you don't see the effects. It's fine. Because it is imperceptible. You cannot see because it's such a slow. For example, if you want to watch the time move and you decide to sit in front of a clock, which has only 2 hands, the hour hand and the minute hand, right? And then if you say, okay, I'm going to watch the clock as it moves, from 2 o'clock, how it becomes 3 o'clock, you won't be able to see the change because the change is so very slight. You can't see it, but does the change not happen? After some time, you see that an hour has passed, the hands have moved of the class. So similarly, here also in devotional service, this will happen to you, right? So, and very appropriate, your comment was very appropriate to the topic that we have been discussing. And the topic was the 9 stages in devotional service, right? Those are that's the major topic. And we had also talked about that. Why do you come here to these classes? My classes, Rajiv Prabhu's classes, somebody else's classes. So you have so many classes. What is the main goal of human life? Why do we have, now that we have a human body, what should we do with this human body?
Looking for peace.
You should look for peace. Okay, good, thank you. What else? Anybody else? What else can we do with this human body?
Attain mukti, whatever is the mukti.
Say that again.
Remember the God.
You can remember God. Yes, very good, right? So peace is there, yes. And actually the good point is that when you remember God, peace will come automatically. Actually, you can't get peace from any other place. Any other peace is temporary. The real peace comes from, knowing first the root cause of my miseries and then eradicating those causes through devotional service. That. And so you said that you want to do devotional service to the Lord, right? And the highest that you get in devotional service. So there are various rasas in which you can do devotional service. There are various mellows. The English word is mellows, right? And there are 5 major mellows. And the first mellow, the first rasa is dasya rasa, where you have a relationship with the Lord, with God, with Krishna, but you think that you are his servant. Dasya ras. And then the second way that you can do it is you have Sakhya ras. You think that God is your friend. So can you give me some examples of devotees who were in relationship with God in Dasya as a servant, who thought that they are a servant of the Lord?
Hanuman.
Chaitanya
Hanuman.
Mahaprabhu.
Very good.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Good, yes, yes. That's very good, very good. And then how about,
Shabri.
yes, very good. And then how about those who were friends of Krishna?
Sudama.
Sudama. Meera.
Meera was not a friend, yeah.
No, not a friend.
Radha was.
Radha.
Okay. Devotees, we are talking about devotees.
Sakha bhav, yeah.
Yeah, human beings, yeah.
Yes.
Human beings, huh?
Uh-huh.
Balram is his friend, yeah, his brother also, yeah. Who else? Very famous personality.
Arjun.
Arjun. Yes. Arjun is his friend, right? In Big Bhagavad Gita, when he realizes that Krishna is God, he was like, oh my God. I thought you were my friend and I call you, hey Radha, hey Saketi. Like that he says, right? Yeah. So that those are 2 mellows. And then even higher than that is the Vatsalya Bhav, where you think that Krishna is your son. Examples, please.
Yashoda.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Only Yashoda?
No.
Devaki.
Devaki.
Yeah. What about the father? Father's Day is coming.
Yeah, Nand.
Nandan.
Nand Maharaj, yeah, Vasudev. Yeah, like that. And all the elderly gopis who were there, right? In
I was
Mathura.
going to say that whole Gokul used to, all the ladies there.
Yes, yes. All the elderly gopis had the Vatsalya Bhav for Krishna. Yes. Yes. Right? And then higher than that is Madhurya Ras, where you have a loving relationship, like a husband and wife or lover kind of a relationship. And who had that?
Rukmani.
The gopi,
Nandi.
yeah, Rukmani, his wives, yeah,
Rukmani.
he hides in Dwarka, yeah, his wives over there, right? So the main purpose of our life, and now that we got a human being, is to find out what relationship that we have with God. Who am I, right? We are a soul. So that Bhagavad Gita tells us that we are a soul, but fine, then what am I supposed to do, right? Because nothing changed. Yesterday, I didn't know I was a soul. Today, you tell me that I'm a soul, but still, it's the body that I'm feeling. It's the body that I'm using, right? And you are telling me that the soul never dies and all that, but this body might die from coronavirus.
Excuse me. You said that there are 5 mellows. What is the 5th one?
I was waiting for somebody to ask the question because I saw shocked
Yeah.
you. So I talked about the 4 which are prominent in Golok Vrindavan. And the one which is prominent in the other Vaikuntha Lokas is the very, very first mellow, and which is the Shanta Ras. And Shanta Ras is that you are in awe and reverence. Awe and reverence, as there's a God Almighty. And I have to, so there's an awe and references there. They will do it. Majestic feeling. God is huge. So when you have that feeling, when you think that there is awe and reverence for somebody, then you won't behave in a friendly manner. You won't try to mother them. You won't try to have a lover relationship with them because you have awe and reverence for them. Like that. For example, our bosses in our offices, right? We have reverence for them. We have respect for them, right? So I will not talk to my boss as if he's my friend. I won't try to mother him, right? I won't try to have a romance with him like that. So the first rasa is known as Shanta Rasa, where you have awe and reverence. And most of the Vaikuntha planets, people have that. And when you have awe and reverence, then you actually worship the Vishnu form of Krishna. The 4-handed Vishnu form of Krishna, which has got a chakra and a gada and a shank and a lotus in his hands, like that. But when it comes to playing, so when you see the deities of Vishnu, They are majestic, they are opulent, they are, full of jewelry, and they have got weapons in their hands, right? Gada is a weapon, Sudarshan Chakra is a weapon, can be used against us anytime, right? But when you look at Krishna, Krishna comes in the least form. He comes as a gwala, right? As a cowherd boy, right? And it might not even wear all the jewelry. He'll wear a necklace around his neck, which will be made of flowers from the forest. So he comes down to that kind of a level so that we feel okay to have the other kind of rasas and enter into a relationship with him. Like if I think that somebody is my friend, then, he shouldn't be, very rich or, 100 times richer than I am and 100 times powerful than I am. So all the cowherd boys who play with Krishna, they just treat him as his friend. They will climb on his back, they will beat him, they will do all kinds of things. That's a relationship that they have there. Okay. So then, so we said that the highest goal of our life is to get love of Godhead, and love of Godhead in Sanskrit is called Prem Pumartho Mahan, right? So we talked
Prem
Pumartho Mahan. So I'm just going to bring that up on the screen. If you want to
I
have
didn't get the word.
I'm bringing it up so that you can see. I didn't realize I was not sharing. Here. Prem Pumartho Mahan. So Prem is love. Mahan is highest. And Pumartho, Pum means human being. And Artho means the benefit, the good, or what our goal should be to achieve, something that you should aim for and get, is love of Godhead, like that. So we talked about that, right? And we said this love of Godhead also goes by the name Bhakti. So pure Bhakti is having love of God. That is what Bhakti is. And you can love God as you love a friend. You can love him as a child, and you can love him in a conjugal relationship as a husband and wife. They have a relationship like that. So we could have any of these kinds of relationships that we have. And I kind of just repeated some of the things that we have talked about before. And the purpose here is that by repetition, things will be etched in our mind. Otherwise, we just listen to it, we like it, and then we move on. But this is a very important thing that we have to keep in mind, and this is something that we have to aim for. That is to get love of Godhead. And our aim should be lofty. We should just aim for it to get it in this life, like that. And there are people who did that. Dhruv Maharaj, he found God in 6 months. So before 2020 is out, we can find God.
Prahlad.
And sometimes people have this notion that when I find God, I will have to die. It's not like that. When Dhruv Maharaj found Krishna, he ruled for 30,000 years, after 30 or 35,000 years after that. So it's not like
Same thing with Prahlad.
Very-
Same thing happened with Prahlad.
Yes, exactly. So devotional service is beautiful. I mean, there can be no harm that can come out of that. So if we are going to have devotional service, we're going to get started with devotional service. Then I was talking about that there are stages in devotional service, like you get started, and then we'll just go from there, right? So the first stage we said is that you get some faith, right? Adau Shraddha, we said. So you get some faith, and then what do you do after that? Adau Shraddha. Once you have Shraddha, once you have faith in God, what would you like to do? Typically, what would you want to do?
Bhakti.
Meet with the other Shraddhalu people.
Yes, you like to
Sadhu
do that,
Sangha.
right? Yeah, you'll try to do sadhu sangha. Very good. Just as if you get interested in putting henna on the hands and you want to make designs of henna, what will you do? You will go and try to meet people who make henna patterns, right? If you want to learn how to do cooking, then you will try to go and talk to somebody who knows how to cook. Birds of a feather flock together. So similarly, if you are interested in doing devotional service, then you will try to go and find other devotees. And that is the second stage of devotional service, right? So I'm just going to, bring up this word. So we said, Adhau Shraddha. In the beginning, there is Shraddha. Then you go for Sadhu Sangha, which you all are doing here today. Then you do Bhajana Kriya. That is when you see what other sadhus are doing, then you also want to do it. So I also want to chant. I also want to do deity worship. I also want to offer bhoga to the Lord. I also want to go and read the scriptures. Like that, you will start doing the Bhajana Kriya, which will not happen very nicely in the beginning. And that the reason for that is that we have got some faults. We have got some anarthas. There are some wrong things with us, and which are there for times immemorial. So we need to get rid of those anarthas. So that is the next stage, which is anartha nivritti, that you get liberated from all the bad habits that we have. And one of you mentioned that about the habits today, right? And then tato nishtha. So after that, you get some, stability in your devotional service. And then once you're stable, then you start getting a taste for devotional service. And I can tell you that all of you have got taste in devotional service, because it's a difficult thing to go and attend lectures every day unless you have a taste for that. Okay? So there is ruchi there. So 6 stages here, and then the last 3 stages is asakti, when you have a very strong attachment towards doing devotional service.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Could you repeat the 5th one, please?
Sure, here you go. Nishtha, right?
Oh, nishtha.
Nishtha.
Uh-huh.
So there's steadiness in devotional service, nishtha.
Right.
And then you have ruchi, where you have taste in doing it. Right? Whenever you have taste for doing something, then there's no problem in doing it, right? That's why people have hobbies. And when we have hobbies, it doesn't matter how much time we are spending, how much efforts we are spending, how much money we are spending. We're willing to do all 3 because we like it. So similarly, in your development of devotional service, you will reach a stage where you will develop that kind of a, taste for doing it. You like doing it. Ruchi is there. And then you have attachment. So attachment is higher than ruchi. You just had taste, but now I want to do it and nobody can take it away from me. That's attachment. And then come the bhavas, like one of you mentioned Mirabai, right? She would pray, she would cry all the time for Krishna, missing him so badly. The Goswamis of Vrindavan, 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they used to roam on the roads of Vrindavan saying, hey Gopike, hey Radhe, hey Vraj Gopike, where are you? Where are you? Like that. Hey Radhe Vraj Gopike chalalite, hey Nanda Suno Kuta. So he's singing like, hey Radhe, Vraj ki gopiyan, hey Radhe, Vraj Gopike chalalite, Lalita, the prime gopi, where are you? Nanda Suno, Nanda Suno is Krishna, right? The favorite of Nanda. Where are you? Kuta, Kuta. So they would cry and they would sing and they would walk on the roads. That is the bhava. And then so this is ecstatic love. You go into ecstasy. And then bhava, when it gets intensified millions of times, then that is called prema, or love of Godhead, like that. So bhava, prema, high stages. What is prema of God, what is love of Godhead, was actually demonstrated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came about 500 years ago and he was born he appeared, they are never born, he appeared in Navadvip. And he's Krishna, but coming as a devotee. And there were 2 reasons why he came like that. One thing was that he used to think that this Radha, she does such amazing devotional service to me. And she relishes it so much. She doesn't want to give it up. Come what may, she's there for me all the time, every day. What does she get out of it? What is the joy that she gets from doing devotional service? So it is like, if Krishna is a sugar cube, then Radha is sucking the sugar cube. So if you are a sugar cube, then you don't get any joy from being sugar cube. All the enjoyment is with the person who is sucking at the sugar cube, right? So Krishna wanted to know that, what is it that Radha enjoys so much? So he said, okay, I'm going to come down as a devotee. So then he and Radha come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, taking the color of Radha. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is golden in color. And he takes the mood of Radha, which is a devotee of Radha. So And he comes here to enjoy and to teach devotional service to people. So what happens towards the end of Dwapar Yuga, when Krishna comes in his incarnation, Kali Yuga is coming. So before Kali Yuga comes, there is only one religion in the world, and that is Vaishnava religion. People follow that. You worship Vishnu, Shiva, for some benedictions like that. But none of the other religions were there. And then what happened was that as Kali Yuga starts to come, there are some aberrations that start creeping in. Some bad qualities keep creeping in the society. And so what people started doing was they started to interpret the Vedas in the wrong way. Vedas have got sections that can tell you about animal sacrifice. And the animal sacrifice that mentioned there is that, okay, if you really want to eat meat, then you have to first offer it to Kali, and then you can have it, and only so many times you can have it, and things like that. So people just picked out one part from the Veda and said, Vedas allow you to eat meat. They did not tell you that how difficult Vedas make you to eat meat. You have to go through this whole process, find a suitable place, find the priest who will do that, and then have the meat like that. And so just picked that word out, and they started killing animals indiscriminately and eating them indiscriminately. So at that time, Krishna comes in the form of Lord Buddha. And what does he do? He says, don't listen to the Vedas. Because he had to tell people don't listen to the Vedas, not because the Vedas are wrong, but because people were interpreting it wrong, and he had to put an end to it. So he said, don't do that. And then what else did Buddha preach? What is Buddha's preaching very famous for? He preached
Ahimsa Paramo Dharma.
There you go, Ahimsa Paramo Dharma, right? So he taught non-violence because he wanted to put an end to all this animal killing, right? So then and then you see there's a lot, there were kings, Chandragupta Maurya, Ashok, and all, they spread Buddhism not only in India, but to other countries as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then comes Shankaracharya. And that is, Krishna sends Shivji in the form of Shankaracharya, and to slowly introduce the concept of God. Because what Buddha was saying was, I meditated, I found nothing. Because his focus was to stop everybody from eating meat. So he was on a very special project. So focusing on that, preaching on that, talking like that, right? So then Shankaracharya comes, and he slowly has to introduce the concept of God. And the easiest way that he thinks is for these people who just a few generations ago used to eat meat, right? And interpret the Vedas accordingly, don't care about Krishna, etc., like that, don't care about God. They're just doing their own sense gratification. So to slowly bring them towards the concept of God, he says, you are God. And then, but you just have to realize it. And so in order to realize that you're God, these are the things that you should do. So although he taught that, right? But then Shankaracharya wrote a very famous poem or a song. Does anybody know? Shankaracharya's very famous song.
Say a few words. Yeah. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Gopala. Yeah.
Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Mudamati. So he's, after teaching everybody that you're God, he comes and says that, oh, Mudamati, you should know how to Bhaj Govindam. Okay, so I have now heard that I need to Bhaj Govindam. But then the question is that how do I do Bhaj? Bhaj means to do devotional service. I don't know how to do devotional service. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then comes. That is, Krishna comes in the form of Chaitanya. Krishna Radha combined come in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach us what exactly devotional service is. So when it comes to reading books, we first read the Bhagavad Gita. Then we read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we read what is called as Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita is actually like a postgraduate studies. So high school students read Bhagavad Gita, and then, graduates read Srimad Bhagavatam, and then postgraduates read Chaitanya Charitamrita. And there's very deep philosophy there on devotional service. It's a 9-volume set of books, so it's huge like that. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us about devotional service, and he will emphasize in his teachings. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, he emphasizes, and if I were to, start sharing the screen again with you, then you will see, if you have not noticed here, that this verse where I'm talking about, these two verses where I'm talking about the 9 stages of devotional service, it is from CC Madhya, chapter 23, verses 14 and 15. And CC stands for Chaitanya Charitamrita, like that. So, so we talked about the devotional service, stages of devotional service. We started with Shraddha. And what did we talk about Shraddha? We talked about 2 types of Shraddha. Do you remember?
Before you go any further, can I ask you just one thing?
Yes.
You
please.
said that after Krishna, when they started interpreting Vedas wrong, then Buddha came, and after that Shankaracharya, and after Shankaracharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Thank you.
Okay. So, so then I'll go back again to the items of the stages of devotional service. So we talked about Shraddha, and we talked about 2 types of Shraddha, or 2 levels of Shraddha. Do you remember these 2 things? What was this? Am I sharing
One's
it?
like shallow and then one deep, where you have faith, full faith.
Yes, one is shallow.
Komal and
Komal, yes, there is Komal,
Paripakva.
yes,
Yeah.
and Paripakva, right? Like a banana tree, and then like a banyan tree, like that, right? We also talked about Shraddha, how that we talked the story of the cobbler, right? Who didn't have any doubt about, putting an elephant through a needle. Then we also talked about what exactly Shraddha is, and we said that Shraddha is where you place your heart, right? Wherever you place your heart. And then we talked about, I gave you the story of a village where there was drought, and people were going to do a yagya to pacify the gods and to get some rains. And they all went there and they brought all the things, but except they forgot to bring an umbrella, right? So if you have a strong faith that what I'm doing is going to get the results, then they would have carried the umbrella with them also, right? So Shraddha has got to be put in the right place, and we know that Duryodhan did not put it in the right place. Right? We also talked about that don't put blind faith in anybody, right? So check it out before you go for anything. Check it out, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I talked about that. Some of you are familiar with him because I saw some names in the feedback. Some of you take his names, and if you don't know, then you should go, find out about him, what it is. What did Shraddha Mataji tell us? If this is new, is it right? Is it not right? You should always explore that. Then we talked about Sadhu Sangha, as you pointed out, 2nd stage. We gave this example of an iron rod. When it is in the association of fire, then it also becomes like a fire. Okay. And
we also talk about Parikshit in there too.
Yes, we talked about Parikshit Maharaj there. Right? So then on Sadhu Sangha, so actually, when I came to your temple back in January, I had talked about the limbs of devotional service, 5 limbs of devotional service. So it was Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavata Shravana Matrava Shri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana. So it says that, there are 5 limbs, and Sadhu Sangha, association of devotees, is one. Nam Kirtan, taking the names of the Lord, is another. Bhagavat Shravana is another one. Listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. Mathura Vas is to live in a holy place, a pilgrimage. And then Sri Murtiya Shraddhaya Sevana means you do deity worship, like that. So we talked about that, about the Sadhu Sangha. And then we also went and talked a little bit about Anartha Nivritti, Bhajana Kriya, and things like that. So for Sadhu Sangha, this is something very interesting, and that I just wanted to bring it to your light here, is that I'm just hearing some echoes over here, so I'm just going to mute everybody, and you can unmute yourself. So I just wanted to highlight about Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada was in India. He was born in Bengal, and his spiritual master had told him that he should preach Krishna consciousness to people in the western side of the world. And so at the age of 69, he came in this boat, as you can see, this ship, Jaladuta. So he came from Calcutta all the way to Boston, where he, disembarked from the ship. So he was living very nicely in Vrindavan. he had taken sannyas, he was living there, he had the best of the sadhu sangha. And he left all that. He left all that wonderful association. He was a sannyasi. Nobody would have said anything to him if he had spent the rest of his life from 69 to 83 age. He would have just spent it there doing kriya. People would have, he's a sannyasi. People would have served him. They would have taken care of him. But no, he did not do that. He left that and he came to America because his spiritual master had told him that you need to preach. So sometimes people will give up one sort of a sadhu sangha because they are trying to achieve a higher goal in life. And he was trying to spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. And he was successful. So he might have missed sadhu sangha for a few months because as soon as he came to America, he gathered the devotees once again over there. Like that. So when we think about sadhu sangha, sometimes people have to step away and do something higher like that, sadhu sangha. Then we said that after you do sadhu sangha, you try to do what they are doing, right? So that is, you start doing bhajana kriya, which is devotional service to the Lord. Right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about the devotional service to the Lord. And as you would have noticed that on the very first day, we talked almost about all the 9 stages. And the next time I came, I started talking about some again and then going deeper. So this is how we are going to go, as if it's a cabbage, right? So we just looked at the cabbage from the top the first time, and now we will peel as if there are 9 layers over there, and we'll peel and we'll go deeper and deeper into each one of these stages till it gets in our psyche, in our consciousness that, okay, even if somebody was to wake you up in the night and say, can you tell me what are the 9 stages of devotional service? You will tell immediately, you'll say, Adhav Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Tata Bhajana Kriya. You'll say that like that. So till we reach that stage, we'll keep repeating like that. So about the Shraddha Path, let me bring up my PowerPoint presentation again here for you, is I've picked up some verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And so when you start doing the devotional service, which is bhajana kriya, right? In bhajana kriya, prior to bhajana kriya, somehow you had got shraddha, either from previous birth, or you did some good things over here, or somebody just put their hand on your head, and then suddenly you woke up like that. So you can get that. So that is, the seed was planted, right? So, or somebody gave you the seed of devotional service. Now we have to nurture this seed of devotional service. We have to take care of it. So when you have a seed and you put the seed, how do you grow a seed? If I were to give you a seed of a mango, what will you do to make it grow? Unmute yourself and speak. Shama.
Nurture it.
Put a base
Put in the soil.
You'll put it in the
Plant
soil.
it.
Very good.
Soil.
Water it.
Food,
Water.
fertilizer,
water in it.
water.
You put some water, right? So that is,
Nurture it.
Sun.
Some
Also.
too.
Sunlight.
you need some sunlight. Very good, right? So you need earth, you need some water, and you need some sunlight,
Sunlight.
and maybe some
Care.
Moonlight too.
moonlight. Yes. Somebody's reading
Love
something.
and care.
Love and
Moonlight
care.
is important.
Nurturing.
Some food.
Nurturing. Yes. Right? And manure.
Manure.
Manure. Yeah.
Point of time. Yeah. So similarly, when you start developing your bhakti, right? So bhakti starts with a seed, and then you are the gardener. You are the gardener. And what do? So here, this is written in Bengali. Mali hoya kare se bija aropana shravana kirtana jale kara eshe chana. So what it does, Mali, the gardener. So what he does is bija aropana. So he will try to, plant the seed, and now has to nurture it. How does he nurture it? I'm going to grow the seed of devotional service. Yeah, very good. Do we have some Bengalis in the group here? Vidhuji? So maybe they can tell us. Yeah, please tell us. What does it mean? Shravana Kirtana Jale Kore Shechana. What does it mean?
Shravana Kirtana.
Jale. What is jal? Jaw?
Pani.
Pani, water.
हाँ, तो what is pani? लेकिन पानी तो है, but what is used as pani here? Shravan and Kirtan, right? So Shravan and Kirtan रूपी पानी को लेकर के खींचते हैं. Seechna, sechana, right? So how do you water the seed of devotional service? By Shravana, which is listening to Krishna Katha, and Kirtana is you speak Krishna Katha also, right? Like that. So when a person receives the seed of devotional service, he should take care of it by becoming a gardener and sowing the seed in his heart. So one of you had said that you will plant it, right? So you need a soil. So the soil is your heart. That is where the seed of devotional service goes. And if he waters the seed gradually by the process of Shravan and Kirtan, hearing and chanting, the seed will begin to sprout. Okay? All right. So this is what is a depiction of the Bhakti Lata. It is a creeper of devotional service. Okay? So when you plant the seed of devotional service and you nurture it by giving it water of Shravan and Kirtan, then you will be able to grow and the creeper will grow. Okay? So then let's see then what's going to happen next. Okay? So it's telling us that, oh, I'm just trying to get rid of the screen. Upajiya bade lata brahmanda bhedi aya viraja brahma loka bhedi para vyoma paya. So then it is saying that if you continue to water your creeper of devotional service, right, through Shravan and Kirtan, then this creeper is going to grow. And what it's going to do, Brahmand Bhedi is going to, rupture the layers that cover our universe, the Brahmand, right? Brahmand is like an egg. So it pierces the shell of the egg and it'll cross the Viraja river, which is there. And then it'll go to Brahma Lok. It'll go to the transcendental planets. Para Vyoma, it goes to the transcendental sky, like that. So let's see the right translation of that. As one waters the Bhakti Lata Beej, the seed sprouts and the creature gradually grows to the point where it penetrates the walls of this universe and goes beyond the Viraja river, lying between the spiritual world and the material world. So there's a river called Viraja River, or Karan Sagar, which separates our material world and the spiritual Vaikuntha planets. It attains Brahma Loka, the Brahman effulgence, which is nothing but light coming out of Krishna's body. And penetrating through that stratum, it reaches the spiritual sky and the spiritual planet called Golok Vrindavan. So that is how the creeper is going to grow up there. Then
what is Viraj River is?
Yeah. So
what is Viraj River?
Yeah. So in Krishna's Shrishti, when Krishna has created this, his entire creation can be clubbed into two types. He has created some spiritual things and he has created some material things. Okay. So spiritual things are Vaikuntha planets, Golok Vrindavan, the gopis. Yeah, they're all spiritual. Our soul, us, right? We are also spiritual. We are souls. Then he has created material things also. Prithvi, Jal, Tej, Vayu, Akash, like that, right? And so there are also material planets there where we come and live. Right? Similarly, there are spiritual planets where we are ultimately going to go there and live. So it's like, if you suppose, and I'm just giving a very rough and a very crude picture, right? Just for the sake of understanding, that above this, if there are all spiritual planets, and below this are all the material planets, then we need something to separate them. So there is a river that flows, that is there, that separates the spiritual with the material. That is known as Viraja River. And it also goes by Karana Sagar, Karan Sagar. And if you have heard of Vishnu, who sleeps there in Karana Nidya, he's there in that river, like that. So Srimad Bhagavatam talks about that, gives a very detailed description of all these things. So I'm just quoting from there, like that. Okay, does that help you, Mataji?
It does. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so then we were back to our creeper of devotional service. So let me share the screen. I think I stopped sharing here. So we had planted the seed and we said that we are watering it by Shravan and Kirtana, and it was growing up, right? Tabe yaya tad upari goloka vrindavan Krishna charana kalpa vrikshe kareya arohan. So the translation is being situated in one's heart, right? Remember, that's where we planted the seed of devotional service. Being situated in one's heart and being watered by Shravan and Kirtan, the bhakti creeper grows more and more. In this way, it attains the shelter of the desire tree of the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna's feet are kalpavriksha, desire tree. You touch his feet, grab his feet, you'll get whatever you want. So in this way, it attains the shelter of the desired tree of the lotus feet of Krishna, who is eternally situated in the planet known as Golok Vrindavan, in the topmost region of the spiritual sky. So Krishna's planet is right on the top, Golok Vrindavan. And there are books and books and books that describe how Golok Vrindavan looks like, what is the color of Goloka, what is the structure of Goloka, what is the shape of Goloka, where does Balram live, where does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu live, where do the gopis live, which gopi lives there, where does Lalita live, where does Vishaka live, all that geography, real geography you want to know, it's all described there in our scriptures there very beautifully, right? So like how my spiritual master say is that the Vaishnava religion not only tells you who is God, it also tells you where he lives. And he also gives you the address of where he is beyond the Viraja river. And it also describes how his house looks like that. Right? So our Bhakti Lata beach is, going all the way over there, right? And it has found the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. That we have reached that high a stage. Taha vistarite hoina phale prema phala iha mali siche nitya shravanadi jala. So then what next? My devotional service has already reached Golok Vrindavan. What am I supposed to do now? Right? So the creeper greatly expands in the Golok Vrindavan planet. And there it produces the fruit of love for Krishna. Now the fruits are going to come out. Right? Up till now, it was only a creeper. Although remaining in the material world. So although I am still here in this material world, in my very same body, but I am doing Shravan and Kirtana, and my Bhakti Lata Bij is growing and it's already gone all the way to Vrindavan. What am I supposed to do? My Mali hu, I'm the gardener. The gardener regularly sprinkles the creeper with water of hearing and chanting. I will continue to do hearing and chanting like that. Yadi Vaishnava aprada ute hati mata upade cha chinde tara sukhi aya pata. So what is this? Vaishnava aprad, something has come up. Ute hati mata. What is hati mata? Right? The translation is going to tell us. If the devotee commits an offense at the feet of a Vaishnava while cultivating the creeper of devotional service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant that uproots the creeper and breaks it. In this way, the leaves of the creeper are dried up. So this is something that we need to very, very strongly guard ourselves against. That while we are doing our devotional service, we should not commit any offenses against another devotee of the Lord. Krishna takes it very, very seriously. So in this regard, there was a king called Maharaj Ambarish. And Maharaj Ambarish actually he was a king. There was no need for him to do what he did in devotional service. Kings are Kshatriyas. They are supposed to protect their kingdom and go and have war and things like that. But what he was doing was, because it's a king's duty to make sure that all his citizens go back to Godhead. That is the main duty of the king, and not to fight and grab this one's land and that one's land and things like that. The prime duty of a king is to make sure that he creates an environment. Right? Nowadays, what is happening? The king is a president of a country. And what does the president of the country do? He sanctions slaughterhouses where cows are slaughtered. So how is anybody going to go back to Godhead if that's the kind of king that we have, right? This is Kali Yuga. But then talking about Satyuga, where good kings were there, they would spend their time. So Maharaj Ambarish used to utilize everything in the service of the Lord. His hands in, washing the dishes of the Lord, his legs in going to the Lord, his nose in smelling the tulsi leaves, his eyes in looking at the Lord, his mouth in speaking glories of the Lord, his ears in listening to the Lord, like that. He utilized his entire body in the service of the Lord. And then once he sat down to do a yagya. And the yagya was a 1 year long yagya. And as part of that yagya, he was supposed to not eat anything. So he was fasting for 1 year, and he had his priest who were conducting the yagya. A king was also sitting there, Maharaj Ambarish. And then Durvasa Muni, and then the yagya was completed. So after the yagya is completed, then the king has to distribute prasadam to everybody, do charity to people and things like that. So he does all that. And then now is the time for him to sit down and break his fast. Now, when you perform these kinds of yagyas, like even for Ekadashi vrat that you do, right? Fasting that you do, there's a specific time period between which you have to break the fast, right? So if you keep a fast, then the rules are that you will break it also during a specific time. So that muhurt had come when he had to break the fast. And at that time, Durvasa Muni lands up with 60,000 of his disciples. So obviously a Muni has now come. So the king is the host. He cannot eat. He has to first offer food to him. So he starts to offer food to him. And then Durvasa Muni, we all know, he's a troubleshooter, right? He said, I have to take a shower. I have to go to the Ganges, and then I will take a shower, then I'll come and eat. Because he was testing. And so now the king says, okay, because he's Atithi. He says, okay, you go. And then the king turns to his priest and he's asking, what am I supposed to do? Because by the time he comes back, this muhurt will be over. And so should I break the fast, not break the fast? So then the priest advised him. And he said that, if you take a little bit of water and then you just sip it, it is considered to be you have eaten and also considered to be you have not eaten. For example, when you are doing devotional service, and even if it's a Ekadashi, and even if you are keeping a Nirjal Vrat, you're not drinking anything, but you'll still be offering food to Krishna. So when you offer food to Krishna, you have to do achaman, right? You have to cleanse yourself first. So you do take a few drops of water even on a Nirjal Ekadashi day. So, but it is not considered that you have drunk it because you have done it for a particular reason. So his priest told him that, okay, yeah, you can just do that. Just sip a little bit of water. Don't eat anything. And then once Durvasa Muni comes back, give him all the prasadam, and after that you can eat. So the king just takes a sip of water and he's waiting for Durvasa. Now, Durvasa Muni has got mystic powers. So he was out there in the Ganges. He was taking a bath there in the Ganges. But from there, he can see what the king is doing. So he knew that the king has taken some water. So he gets furious. And then he comes charging at King Kulshekar. And he's about to curse him. And then suddenly, the Sudarshan Chakra appears. And it starts following Durvasa Muni. And Durvasa Muni starts running and running and running. So he goes to Brahma and says, Brahma, protect me. Brahma says, no. If the Sudarshan Chakra is after you, behind you, it has come from Vishnu. I cannot do anything. Vishnu is my Lord. How can I stop his chakra? Then he runs to Shivji. So then Shivji is there. Shivji says, no, I cannot do anything. You have to go to Vishnu because Vishnu has leashed this Sudarshan Chakra. Only he can stop it. So then he goes to Vishnu and says, Vishnu, please do something. Please stop it, Then Vishnu says, no, you have offended my devotee. I am not going to forgive you. The only person who can forgive you is the devotee that you offended. So he says, go back to Ambarish Maharaj. And while all this thing is happening, and while Durvasa Muni is running to, although he goes very fast with the speed of the mind, but he is going to so many places, right? So 1 year went by and Maharaj Ambarish did not eat. He was waiting for his guests to come back. He did not break the fast. I mean, he did not eat anything. Fast was broken because of the water. And so he comes back, and then Durvasa Muni falls at his feet and begs for his forgiveness. And then, Ambarish Maharaj just gets up and hugs him and he says that, don't ask for forgiveness. I'm not, I was not offended by you at all. Like that. So I just wanted to emphasize that Hati Mata it's like an elephant. It's like an elephant that comes and tramples your entire devotional service if you do make offenses to a devotee of the Lord. And Krishna says, Kaunteya pratijanehi name bhaktya pranashyati. He says that in Bhagavad Gita, right? Let it be known, declare it boldly. Pratijanehi name bhaktya pranashyati. My devotee never perishes. I take care of them. If anybody mess with you, then I'm going to send the Sudarshan Chakra after them, right? And you have the powers to, decide what's going to happen to the Sudarshan Chakra or not. I will just unleash it like that. So I just wanted to point that out, that it is very serious. It's a very serious thing, right? So, tate mali yatna kari kare avarana aparada hastira yache nahaya udgama. It says the gardener must defend the creeper by fencing it all around, so that the powerful elephant of offenses may not enter, right? Like just as you have a small plant, you don't want the cows to come and eat it. You don't want somebody to step the food on it. So you make a small little, fence all around it. So he's saying that similarly, we should also put a fence around our devotional service. We should not, for example, associate with non-devotees too much, because then they will plant ideas in our heads and then we will go and do some Vaishnava Prada like that, right? So the question then is that why would a person do aparad? We all start very earnestly in our devotional service. We start reading this, we start chanting, we listen to Krishna Katha, we tell to people about nice things. And the reason why we do that is because we have got anarthas inside us. There are some bad habits, there are some bad samskaras which are there inside us, and which need to be removed, from our consciousness. And that will be a topic for some other day, because it's almost 8 o'clock. And I'd like to open up for some reflections, questions, comments.
Can I ask you one question?
Absolutely, this is question time.
I'm unable to understand. I mean, we do know and we follow that Krishna is almighty. Everything is there. He has created the whole universe and everything. But then why we call that Godhead? He's the supreme. He's supreme. So Godhead, I couldn't understand referring him to Godhead.
The term, yeah. So it's a very good question. And the reason we do that is that there's also the concept of demigods. And quite a few of us in India, and especially when I grew up, I didn't even know. I just thought that Krishna sometimes comes as Ganesha, sometimes comes as this Devi, sometimes comes as that Devi, like that. I always thought that it is like that. I never knew that there is a difference between Devta and Bhagwan.
Yes.
Right? So they are using Godhead. The term Godhead implies two things. One is that, like, you have a head of the department, the biggest. So you use the term head for that, right? So he's above even the demigod. So Bhagwan is higher than the Devtas. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
And then second is that, if something has got a head, this means that he has a personality, which means that Krishna has a shape. Because some people, think of God as he doesn't have a shape. Some people say that, God is just energy, right? He's just light. And so when he comes here to this world as Krishna, the light somehow becomes a body. So it's not like that. When we have an avatar, right? Krishna says, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Yeah, right? So abhirtanam sujamiham, he says at the end that sujami. And Prabhupada explains that in the Bhagavad Gita, that sujami doesn't make taking a birth. If you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, it elaborately describes how Krishna enters the womb of Devaki, what happens for the time she carries her, and then how actually Krishna is born. Right? All that is very vividly described there in that book. So the point here is that avatar basically means that somebody was living at a higher planet and he just comes down as it is without making any changes. So Krishna is there in Golok Vrindavan, and 5,000 years ago he came here to our Bhauma Vrindavan, the Vrindavan which is here in India. He comes like that in his same body, in his spiritual body. Right? Krishna is completely spiritual, so he comes like that. So it is not that Krishna is all light and then for purposes of coming here, he transforms into some shape like that. It's not that. So we try to emphasize that by using also the word Godhead, which will immediately you say, oh, head of the department. Oh, fine, must be a person. So Krishna is a person, right? And for those people who think that Krishna is light, they are also not wrong. Right? They're also not wrong. And the reason for that is, again, I'm quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, and it says in the first canto, second chapter, verse number 11, it says that Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yad jnana advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwan iti shabdate. So they are saying that there's non-dual substance. Non-dual substance means there is no duality in Krishna, like how we see birth and death and things like that. So there's this non-dual substance they are saying is that Vadanti tat tattvavidas, that those who are knowledgeable, people who are knowledgeable, those people are saying this. So it's not that, I'm an engineer and I can now define God. No. People, Vadanti tattvavidas, those who have known, Vidas means realize the truth. Not even scriptural understanding. They have realized the truth.
Truth.
Those who have realized truth, they say, Vadanti, they say. What do they say? That Bhagwan comes in three forms. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwan iti shabdate. So what does that mean? Brahma comes as, Krishna is there, Bhagwan is there as Brahman. And what is Brahman? Brahman is nothing but the tej or the effulgence or the light that comes out of Krishna. That is known as Brahman. So sometimes when people are just looking at the Brahman, are able to reach that stage, they will just say, oh, yeah, Krishna is only light. Because they have not crossed the Brahman and gone further. Okay? Then he is also available as Paramatma. Paramatma means that Krishna is in our hearts. In everybody's heart, he is there in the four-handed form of Vishnu. And then there is Bhagwan, which is Krishna. Very different from Vishnu. Number one, he has only two hands. He doesn't have four. He doesn't carry any weapons. He has the flute in his hand.
Flute.
Like that, right? And he's so simply dressed like a cowherd. And he's just waiting. And I can tell you that when you finally go back to Godhead, to Golok Vrindavan, Krishna is going to ask you, why did it take you so long? Because he loves us so much. More than we miss Krishna, Krishna misses us very badly. And that's why he keeps on coming back here to reclaim us back. Come on. It's like a parent, like a mom, okay, giving a little punishment to the kids, but you really want them back like that. So
thank you so much for explaining.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you to Prabhupada, whose books.
So in other words, you're saying the Bhagwan is that we call the Godhead.
Yes,
That's what
correct. Yes. And you define Bhagwan as Parashar Muni. Parashar Muni is actually the father of Vyasdev. And Vyasdev is the one who wrote all these books. He documented the Vedas, he documented the Bhagavatam, documented Bhagavad Gita, documented Mahabharata, wrote the Vedanta Sutra, all that, is in his resume. And so his father coined the term Bhagwan. So Bhagwan is actually coming from Bhagyavan, right? Bhagya means like opulence or fortune. So by definition, if you were to look at it, logically and philosophically, that is the God's definition is that he is number one, the most beautiful. Like people who have seen God, after that they say, I don't want to see anything. Surdas said, I want to become blind. I don't even want to see anybody after I see you. So he's the most beautiful, and that is why you have to be beautiful for people to be attracted, for the mind to be attracted. And so mind gets attracted to beautiful things, so mind will get attracted to Krishna because he is beautiful. All that we have to do is to pull the mind away from wherever it is attracted to right now and connect it with the most beautiful, which is Bhagwan, like that. So Bhagwan is most beautiful. Then he's also the richest. Now, is there any doubt about this, that Krishna is the richest?
No.
Right? And why do you say no? Why do you say no?
Because he's divine and
he's the king.
No, it's not.
He can get whatever.
It's everything.
He lives in everybody's heart.
No,
He's the richest person.
Everything
He's the supreme God.
Everything has been created by him.
There you go. That's the answer. He owns everything.
Yeah.
I might say I'm rich because I have a condo. Somebody may say, what do you have? I have a mansion. Somebody may say, I have an aeroplane too. Somebody may say, I have 10 aeroplanes. Somebody may say, I'm a billionaire. right? Like that. So richest man in this earth might say, I'm the richest, but then Indra from the heavens might say, oh, what are you? Come and see in heaven and see what actually riches is. And then Krishna made all of them. So he owns all of them he has the creation rights, right? Copyright. He created all that. He owns everything.
He has actually leased our lives.
There you go. Yeah. Yes. It is borrowed.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm very glad that you are saying that, because the sooner we realize that we are on borrowed, we have borrowed everything, including our body, and we are on borrowed time over here, and we don't even know. At least when there's a lease here in this material world, we know when the lease is going to end. But for this, we don't even know how the lease is going to end. That's why in Isha Upanishad, there's a verse which says, Isha vasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita ma gridha kasya siddhanam. So it says that I am the Isha vasyam idam sarvam. I am the controller of everything. Krishna controls everything. I'm the controller of everything. Isa vashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Everything in this world, material and spiritual. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. That's the key word. Tena tyaktena bhunjita means to enjoy. Tena, you. And tyaktena, whatever has been set aside as your quota, that you should try to enjoy. Tena tyaktena bhunjita ma grida kasya siddhana. Ma means no in Sanskrit. Do not covet things that belong to others. Oh, he got a car, I want to have a car. You just enjoy whatever Krishna is giving you, like that.
So one more question, Bhagavan, Paramatma, and Super Soul, they're one the same. He's Krishna.
Well, Bhagwan, the manifestations of Bhagwan. So there is God, right? Bhagwan, Krishna, right? Muslims will call him Allah, like that. Yeah. So that is there. And then we have, when Krishna decides to come and live in our hearts, he is known as Padmatma. So Krishna can expand like that and come and live in our hearts. So he's called Padmatma or Super Soul.
That makes sense, because he has created all the living entities and says soul and super soul. Both, they live in there.
Yes.
Makes sense, yeah.
Right? Super soul, and then there is Brahman. His effulgence, the light that comes from him.
Thanks.
Actually, the light that comes from his body gets reflected by the sun.
Right.
And we get the sunlight. So next time you are out in the sunlight, you can think about Krishna, that, okay, Krishna, the rays from Krishna are touching my body. Like that. So
that's the energy which is, we are getting, energy through sun. Yes. There's energy through sun.
Yes. And then when the soul also gets energy and direction from the super soul inside the body. And it depends on what kind of guidance you are looking for. So if you're looking for some guidance on how to enjoy material life, Super Soul will allow you to do that. But the real kind of guidance that we should be looking for from the Super Soul is, please guide me in my devotional service. Please guide me in how to overcome my anarthas. Please guide me from this mad elephant thing that, I'm committing these mistakes against Vaishnavas. Please guide me against that, like that. Yeah. So, like that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any other?
It was a very nice talk. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Because you have ruchi. you have taste.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Viduji, for having me here.
Enjoyed this.
आपने अपना इतना समय दिया, इतने सुंदर शब्दों में.
All your presentations were really soulful. Yeah, all those really based on all these 9 seats of devotional service. They were all based. They were really soulful to me.
Yes, and that's because you are getting that connection. You are enjoying it because you are getting that connection, that taste. That's why you're enjoying it. Because anything to do with Krishna is always enjoyable, no matter what. There are presentations which are million times better than my presentation. But you're liking it because
that is so true.
Yeah.
Know so much about Krishna, we'll hear all the time.
All the time, yeah.
And we would really love to have you anytime when you are available.
Yeah.
Really. Everyone enjoys.
Yeah. Very nice.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll continue with these 9 stages of devotional service, and we'll spend extra time on Anartha Nivritti because of all these stages.
आपको अनर्था करना है ना next time. Explain.
Sorry, क्या चीज करना है?
अनर्था.
हाँ, वही तो कह रही हूँ. अनर्था एक्सप्लेन करूंगी मैं next.
Continue.
और उसमें अनर्था में it takes a long time to explain anarthas also. because anarthas generally take a long time to go away. It doesn't happen that, today I decide I'm going to do devotional service.
Yes.
I'm going to give up anger.
No.
I'm going to be angry. I'm not going to be jealous. I'm not going to be greedy.
There's a lot of things we ourselves don't know. That is one thing.
Yeah.
And then it already, we already develop our habits, and it is so hard to give up those things,
Change.
which we have been doing all our life.
Yes. Yes. And the only thing, so that is why we need help. And that is why you need association of devotees. Just like when a person is trying to give up drinking, right? So they have Alcoholic Anonymous groups, right? Why do they have groups? It's difficult to find anything. And I can tell you, some of our anarthas are worse than drinking. Drinking will seem like a very small, very small thing, easy to
get aware of those anarthas.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very well. Very nice point. What's your name, Mataji?
Neelam.
Neelam, Mataji. Yeah. So the first step is being aware of it. The first step is being aware that I have it. I have it, and then accepting it.
And accept it.
But somebody else sees that I'm not aware. So how that gap is covered, or vice versa, or vice versa.
If you want to take it, Shraddhaji, next time that should be okay too. We don't want to keep you for too long.
Yes, and I also don't want to keep you for too long. So if you can paraphrase your question one more time. It was about not knowing that you have another.
I think we are not aware of it.
Yes.
Let her talk, please.
Yes. And Shastras will tell you.
If I think I'm aware, other person is not aware, and the vice versa. So what to do in such situation?
That you are aware that somebody else has got anartha and you want to tell them, but they don't know, like that?
So yeah, vice versa, both
ways. Yeah. It goes through, there's something that my spiritual master always says, and that is that when a devotee opens his mouth, only nectar should come out of it. Only mukhe prasadat. Only prasad should come out. That when your voice goes into somebody's ears when you're talking. So one thing is to recognize. Second thing will be to see our own social status, our own devotional status, to see whether are we in a position to tell them. Like if the anartha is in our child, then as a parent, it is our duty to tell them, right? But if the anartha is somebody like our spouse, or maybe in-laws, or boss, or somebody senior, right? Then it's better not to go and tell them, but go to a reasonable person, go to somebody else who can tell them like that, right? Or you can always pray to Krishna. You want to do it anonymous, pray to Krishna that that anartha goes away from them. You can always do that. Silent thing. And we'll talk more about anarthas, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
As always.
Namaste.
Namaste. Kripa sindhu namaste. Nam pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo. So I'm going to make you back. I'm going to make you the host again, Vidhu Mataji.
Okay, thank you.
And then you can continue with the meeting. Usha Vidhu. You will be as Harish Prabhu, right?
Yes, Harish Prabhu.
Make host again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.